Hi Soundies. Today we're going to be looking at the balloon, which is a computer generated animation, and we'll be looking to design the whole sound for this. We'll be doing this over a few weeks, I think. Today I'm going to be introducing you to the sampler. So we're going to be doing the post-production sound design to the balloon, and we're going to be using a combination of digital sounds that we place directly on the timeline and sampled sounds that we're going to trigger using our keyboard. And so the sampler can perform two functions in this sense. The first of all, if you just put one sound into the sampler so it plays across the whole range of the keyboards, which allows us to create low Atmos sounds. And the second is when we can place individual sounds on individual keys that we can trigger in time to the action on the screen. And we'll be using a system called MIDI. Which is musical interface or musical instrument digital interface. So I'll be showing you that as well. So there's quite a lot to be packed into this particular class. Now the first thing that I do with any visual narrative is go through the film and identify any sounds that I think need to be signified. So I won't go through this now. I've already done it as I just scan through the whole film. Feel free to do it yourself. And in the Logic project, it's hard to say, I've already in my notes here listed all the ones that I can see, and you should have that on your Logic project which you're copying over now. So under the title we've got the car crash, and so we're going to need some steam sound for the steam coming out of the engine, some arcing electricity sound from the traffic light, maybe some distant traffic perhaps, see how that reads, and so on and so forth. And so I've listed them under Foley and Atmos. And so basically that's all I can see. So if you can see, I've put at the end of each one either in brackets an A, which means audio, which means that goes directly onto the timeline, or S, which are sounds that go onto the sampler. And when I put A/S, it means I'm not really sure which one I want to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is create an atmosphere, just to give us a little bit of a pad to work to. So I'm going to use the sampler. I've already got, and what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and create the sounds using the inbuilt sound effects in Logic without having to resort to the library, the sound effects library in the shared space. So I've also, I went through it all. I went through all of the sound effects. So first of all, I'm going to just click on my loop effects. And I'm going to go to all. And I'm going to, let me just click to here. There we go. And I'm going to select sound effects. And that gives me a whole range of different sound effects. And I just go through them all. So these are the sound effects that are built into the Logic library. And in my notes, here are some of, now I don't expect to be using all of these, but I do expect to use some of them. So they're just basically, oh, that could work, maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll see. So I'm going to try them out. So anyway, also, I've got loop packs, all packs. I've got also other packs. Let's see. Do I have? There we go. iLife sound effects. I suspect you have those as well. So if I just press, let's see, children going ah. There we go. So we can audition them. Clock wind. That's enough of that. And so I can audition the sounds, and I just made a note of all of the potential sounds, both on the sound effects in Apple Loops and the iLife sound effects. So first of all, I want to create this atmosphere. And I'm going to find some Atmosy type effects. So what have I got? I've got an alligator growl. Sound effects in Apple Loops. So what I can do is I can just search Apple Loops for and search. It doesn't seem to find it. Maybe it's in, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong one. I'm in iLife effects. I want to go to sound effects. There it is, alligator growl. I'm just going to turn the volume down a little bit. I think I might be peaking a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to drag that onto my timeline. And there it is. Okay, I quite like that. That's going to be one of the effects. So that's going to be my first Atmos effect. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put it into the sampler, and then I'm going to trigger it much lower down, so you don't get the sense of the alligator, but you get that kind of predatory vibe, what we call an archetypal sound effect. So it's a very simple process to do this. I'm just going to grab it, I'm going to drag it down to where there isn't a track, and then I'm going to push this to here. And so when the beginning of this clip hits here, it'll give me various options. So I'm going to drag it to here, and there we are. Create new track using, and I'm going to use just a quick sampler, like so. There we go. It's read that effect now. And if I play my keyboard, let me just go onto here. That's still on. I'm trying to record my vocal on Logic rather than separately, so I don't have to sync it up and spend too much time. But here we go. So the root key is C3. So if I play C3, you get that sound. That's forward. I could put it in reverse. Yeah, not bad. I think I might take the level down a bit still further. So, but what happens if I play it lower down? Because I've just taken one sound and dragged it into the sampler, it'll put the sound across all keys, so I can play it higher up, which sounds weird. Or I can play it really quite low. I quite like that. I'm going to take the pitch down a bit so it's even lower. Oh, and because it's playing back slowly, and because it's much lower, I'm going to trim it so it comes in at a level, and I'm just do a tiny little fade. This is the trim at the beginning and the end, like so. And we get that kind of low. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now I can save it. So alligator growl. So I will save it because I want to demonstrate to you how to save sample instruments so you can use them in projects from now on. So you can click on factory default, which is what this is, and go to, first of all, save as, and it automatically goes to the sampler, the quick sampler presets. I don't want to save it in here because I might want to use it on another machine, and the sampler automatically saves it to a file in Logic itself. So to save it for project work, I'm going to go to my Reese work. This is the balloon exercise. I'm actually not going to put it in there. I'm just going to click in there, and I'm going to put sampler presets. I might just put balloon, create, and I'm going to call this there we go, and save. And there we are, we have it there. If I go to my I could have preferred this better, couldn't I? Let's have it date added, group, date added, there we are. Sampler presets balloon, and in there is alligator reverse and low PST, and then it actually has the sampler growl. So whichever machine you're working on, you will have that sound. Also, when we come to save, let's go back to Logic, we can go to File, and we can save as, I'm not going to save it this time, but organize my project as a package, and in it I copy the audio files, the sample, audio data, the movie file, include Apple Sound library content. I can take those out. I'll put that back in. Oh, it requires all of it. So package and ticked all of that. And that means everything that I've done will be saved into the project, into the package. So I'm going to cancel that for now. So here we are. We've got my alligator reverse and low. So I can get rid of that now. I can now just start it. So I'll have a bit of a play in. Here's my alligator growl sample track. So what I'm recording now, I'm not recording the sound itself. I'm recording digital information. I'm recording what key I press, how long I keep it pressed down for, how hard I press it. That's what MIDI is. And I'll show you the piano roll once we've recorded it. So this is going to run through for a bit. So I'm just going to press play, a bit of a run in. I might call that alligator reverse and low. That's what it is now. And record. And there we have it. I've accidentally recorded a vocal track as well. I can just delete that. And actually, if I switch, can you hear me? There we are. I can have that on, so I won't do that again. I've just got the monitoring thing clicked in. Okay, so there it is. If I play it back now, I can actually move it a bit. I can move it a little bit. So it comes in around the time when the transition happens. A bit too late. Move it along a bit here. That's lovely. Okay, so if I double click on this, what we see here, let's just close this down for a minute, is a MIDI note, which is pitch C1, velocity 82. That's how just, and so this is how long I held the note down. It is MIDI information. I could completely change this instrument. It would just still play it because it's not recording the sound of the alligator. It's just me hitting the key. And that's really handy to record the alligator or the Atmos effect. But what I'm going to want to do now is I'm going to want to bounce this in place. So it's fine sort of using the sampler to create that effect. But the problem with MIDI, particularly for long drone type effects, is you always have to start at the beginning to hear it. If I just press play here, you don't hear anything because it's not got the information about when I hit it. So sample is great for quick effects, and you can keep them as a sample instrument. But now that I've created this, what I can do is I can go to File, I can go to Bounce, Track in Place. There we go, alligator, reverse and low, and BIP stands for bounce in place. Normalize, I'll have overload protection only, and go OK. And there we have it. There is my alligator sound. It starts from the beginning, so I can see it there. Can you see it's now audio? So I can just position that there. I can trim it up so it kind of starts where I want it to. I could move this now so I can get it. Actually, let me take my smart off so I can move it. There we are. I wanted to sort of start about there. And then with audio, I can then just copy that and paste. So it runs all the way through. Like so. And I can just trim it down. I want it gone sort of by the pop. There we are. I don't know why there's what happened there. Oh, that's why. Okay, so if I play it, needs a bit of a fade in, so I shall just go to my fade tool and fade that in a little bit. Oh, there we go. What else am I going to need? I don't need that. I need my effects. Here it is. So on this track, I'm going to put a nice big reverb. So here we go. Reverb, space designer, stereo. We're in a big space, aren't we? We're in a very big space. So I'm going to select a large space, indoor spaces, something really big. You can tell how big it is by the number, 4.3 seconds in subway, big old church. Let's have that. I'm going to take the dry down a bit, bring the wet up, and see how that sounds. Sounds pretty good to me. Sounds very scary. It can be much lower. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the process again, just to get it lodged into your heads. So let's find something else. Let's find some other kind of Atmos. What have I got? Maybe in the iLife effects. Cave water drops. So that's in my iLife. So I go back to my loops. I select my iLife sound effects, and I search. What was it again? Was it cave water drops? So I can search for cave water drops. There it is. So I'm going to drag this. I can drag it onto my alligator growl track. There we are. I'll mute this. Mute this, not solo it, Reese. Let's have a listen to that. Okay, I quite like that. I'm just going to trim it up a bit just to make sure it all starts. Because when you're dealing with the sampler, it just plays back the clip. So if I've got a lot of silence at the beginning, it'll just play back the silence until the sound comes in. So it's quite important to make sure with a sampler that you trim it up. It's much more important for Foley effects, but I'm just going to trim that right up there, and the same at the end. There we go. There we are. And I'm just going to do the same thing. And let me just narrow this up a little bit. And I'm going to grab it. I'm going to drag it down to where there isn't a track. And can you see it says drag regions here to create instrument tracks. So I'm just going to drag it, and I'm going to go use my quick sampler again. And there we have it. And I'm just going to have it as a one shot. It automatically looks to slice it because there's individual sounds. I'm not even going to go there for this class. So I'm just going to make sure I've selected one shot. Again, it's C3. Is it C3? C3 is the root key. Because I've selected one shot, it'll play through all the way to the end. If I select classic, it stops when I take my finger off the key. For this instance, I quite like the one shot because, again, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to play it much. I might reverse it because, you know, we're not in Kansas, are we? So, and I'm going to play it low. It could be lower. Let's make it lower. And this is my pitch. Can you see? So I'm going to take it down, and I'm playing C1, but it can be any note. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to mute this, and I'm going to record this. Have you noticed I've not saved it? But I would be doing exactly the same thing. Oh, it's still playing. Okay. So here we are. I'm going to press record. And I might press a few other keys. So let's just drag this a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Cave water drops. And I'm going to go to File. I'm going to bounce, track in place. Cave water drops, BIP. And there it is. As you can see, it goes along a lot further because it was one shot. So it's still playing back even though I haven't hit the note. So here's my audio. It sort of comes in around here. I'll do a little fade in again. And I want it all to go with the pop. Everything, there's the pop. Everything finishes with the pop. And so, boom, there we are. And I'm probably going to pan this either side a little bit. Again, I'm going to go into my audio effects. I'm going to go to Reverberation, Space Designer, Stereo. And again, I'm going to have a really big sound. I'm going to use a slightly different space because everything is not quite right here, isn't it? I've got an idea of having kind of fly sounds for the clown. We'll get to that. This will be either second part of this class or maybe next week. Large spaces, indoor space. Let's have a palace. There we go. Again, take a lot of the dry out, so I just want mainly reverbed sound. And let's see how that flies. Oh, just take. There we go. We've got both playing. Down a bit. Atmosphere is everything, isn't it? It changes everything. Suddenly we're in this place now. We're not in some kind of abstract visual place. We're in a place of immersive audio. Okay, so there are more things to do, which I shall leave you to do as part of the homework, but something has got to happen when she takes the dog. Now, can you see I started playing an awful lot more stuff on the keyboard point to create more of a dynamic, but we need a kind of rising sound. We need that steam again. We need some vocal sounds. And that natural reverb decay will quite nicely cover the transition with the pop. So there we go. I'm going to finish this little instructional video here because I want you now to go ahead and have a go yourselves. Try and find something other than the alligator and the cave water drops, though I don't mind if you use those. Really, it's about process as much as anything else. So in this session, we're learning how to use the sampler as a single instrument across the keyboard. The next will be identifying the Foley signal sounds, the action sounds like the balloon popping and all those kind of things, and placing them on individual keys on the keyboard that we can trigger in time to the narrative. But for now, I'd like you to start having a go at using the sampler. I've booked the keys, the keyboards, so you should just plug those in and off you go.